I'm Daniel, and today we are taking a look at the Nokia E7. This is Nokia's Symbian 3 device, and in terms of design, it looks very similar to the Nokia N8. So, being a Symbian 3 device, you could come from two camps right now. You could either not really care because Nokia will be switching to Windows Phone 7 for a lot of their smartphones in the future, or you could care because you love Symbian 3 and you don't really want Windows Phone 7. So regardless of what other camps you are, we're going to take a close look at this device. So let's talk about the hardware first. So as mentioned earlier, the design is very similar to the Nokia N8, which we also did a first look video of. If you want to go check it out, you can visit our website www.tech65.org. But otherwise, the biggest difference between this and the Nokia N8 is the fact that you can actually slide it open and you get the physical keyboard. And the great thing about this is that the Nokia N8 and Symbian 3 in general, they're not very good at making soft on-screen keyboards. So it is really good that they finally built one with a physical keyboard, and trust me, text input on a physical keyboard compared to Nokia's software keyboard is very, very different. It's a lot better. Yeah. So let's take a look at the rest of the hardware. So this is a 4.0 inch display, and the resolution for this display is actually 640 by 360. All right, it's actually quite a beautiful display, and it's a capacitive touchscreen, so gotta mention this because not all smartphones today are capacitive touchscreens. And so that is the front. You got a single button for the home button, so they've really cleaned up the design on their phones, just like the Nokia N8, by the way. The N8 also has just a single home button right here. You have this here is let's just take a very close look, and I'm just gonna zoom in. So right here you have a light sensor that adjusts the brightness according to how much light you have, and then you got a front-facing camera. You can't really see it, but there is one right here, front-facing camera. Right, the speakers right here. Okay, so on the side, so this right here is the signature button on the Symbian 3 devices, and this is the lock switch. So just by sliding this switch, you'll turn the screen on, or you can turn the screen off. Alright, so this is a physical lock switch. Okay, and then on the top here, just see if we can let you guys see it, make sure there's enough light. Okay, so right here you got the HDMI port. So this is a mini HDMI port, so you can open it, connect the device to the TV, and it will mirror the entire interface onto the TV itself, which is kind of turns this device into a tiny little computer. That's something that they've been advertising. And unfortunately, the the package doesn't come with an HDMI cable, but they do come with this though. This is a little connector that you can connect onto the phone itself. It's a little adapter, and then this will convert the mini HDMI into a proper HDMI connection. So that's that. Also, what you've got on this side is a micro USB port. So this one's going to be used for both charging as well as data. And there's something else, another accessory that comes with the package, which is this little connector right here. And what it allows you to do is that it goes through the micro USB and allows you to connect anything from thumb drives to hard drives, and you can actually transfer files between the phone and the storage device, regardless whether it's a hard drive or a thumb drive, which is another neat feature. So it's especially great if you've got cameras and stuff like that. Okay, right on top here you got the power switch. So this is the part that gets a little bit confusing. The power switch should not be confused with the lock switch. The power switch is literally used for shutting the device down, or to allow you to switch profiles as you would be able to on all other Nokia phones. So by hitting this button, it doesn't actually lock the screen. So this is it's a bit of they're doing this because it's kind of a tradition that Nokia has always, this is how Nokia's interfaces has always been working in all their previous generations of feature phones as well as smartphones, and this is something that they have not changed. Alright, this is a 3.5mm headphone jack. Headphones come with it, supports remotes as well. Okay, on this side, okay, this is more interesting things. Here you have volume control. It's a slider switch as well, and it's also used as the zoom controls when you're in the camera. And this one right here, this is not a micro SD card slot. This is actually a SIM card slot. So this means that because of that, this is actually a sign that the first sign that this device has an integrated battery. You cannot open up the casing of this phone to see the battery that's inside to replace the battery. And you have to take out the SIM card from here. The thing is that when you pull the SIM card slot out, the phone shuts down. So that actually seems a bit logical, but since the phone can't really, it probably just goes crazy when it discovers that the SIM card is gone, so it shuts itself down instead. But from my experience from some other phones, or if you have an iPhone, you'll know that if you take out the SIM card, the phone's just gonna say, hey, there's no SIM card, I'm just gonna carry on. But this one doesn't do that, it shuts down. So again, there is no micro SD slot, but however, there is an internal 16 gigabytes of memory, so there's definitely sufficient memory for your music and whatever content that you want to actually put inside. Okay, right here you have the camera button, and this camera button is not a two-level button. This is just a button. There is no autofocus button. So I actually want to do some research and find out, does that mean there is no autofocus? And even though at the back here you got an 8 megapixel camera with 2 LED flashes, ironically, this camera does not autofocus. I mean, it's fixed. Although it's 8 megapixels, it's fixed. There's no way to autofocus either by touching the screen. The button itself doesn't support autofocus. Check the spec sheets. There's no mention of autofocus. So I'm gonna conclude that this phone does not autofocus, which is, to me, one of the strangest things ever. But well, that's what it does. Okay, right here at the bottom you got the speaker, all right, and you got the microphone at the bottom. There you go, you see that little hole, that's the microphone. And so yeah, so let's take a look at the keyboard actually. So I'm just gonna slide it open. Yeah, speaking of which, I'm just talk about the slider a bit. The slider is exactly the same as what you find on the Nokia N97. Alright, so that was that faithful phone, and it just kind of, hopefully you can see this. Alright, it kind of flips in like this. Alright, so you just need to have a little bit of put a little bit of pressure on the side, and then it will just pop out, just spring out. So the thing is that it gets you'll take a little bit of getting used to. The first few times I did this, I'm just afraid I'm pushing too much force, and then after a while, you get used to it. You'll know how much force to use, and it just kind of springs open. All right, so it's got a very nice angle, and just like the N97, you can actually put your finger at the back here to kind of support the phone when you're using it with the thing open up. And the keyboard is backlit, which is great. And one of the things though is that the keys are arranged in this way, in a grid like this, right? They're not slanted. So one of the issues with that is, so I'm gonna launch the SMS, the messaging application. So it's gonna hit a new message. Okay, and the disadvantage is that you would for the first few times you're gonna start hitting the keys towards the right. So meaning that let's say for example I'm just gonna quick type the quick brown. So instead of hitting the N button, I've hit the M key because the keys are aligned towards the left, right? I mean, most on physical keyboards are like that, but one of the keyboards that I'm quite fond of is from the HTC Touch Pros. They've got the keyboards kind of slanted a bit, so this one doesn't do that. But you got an entire array of extra keys. So you got the symbol key right here. This is the shift key, and the great thing is that this has always been the case, even with their older Series 60 device, the S60 devices. So when you hit the shift key, you can actually go left, and it reacts the way you would expect a shift key to react, which is to select stuff, right? And then likewise the control key. So you got the control key right here. If I hit the control key, I'm just gonna scroll. If I hit the control and I go left, I'm actually jumping words, which is great. So if I combine that, control shift, and then I go left and right, I'm selecting entire words. So this reacts just the way that you would expect it to react on a computer. There is no control Z. There used to be a control Z on S60. I don't know why there's no control Z on Symbian 3 anymore, but it's not there. But there is control X, all right, for cut. There's control V for paste. And of course, so I just keep going control V, and I can keep pasting words, which is kind of cool, all right? And another thing that I need to mention though is that there is a dedicated key for the period as well as the comma. Again, I'm mentioning this because there are actually devices that don't have dedicated keys for this too, which I find very amusing. But yeah, and then the other thing which I found very amusing actually is the fact that there's actually a key dedicated for triple dots. So if you see, there's actually a key that allows you to type triple dots. which I thought that was kind of cute. But anyway, you need to hit the symbol key in order to get the numbers. So that's that. And so yeah, the keys are actually quite comfortable to press. You can actually feel a bit of tactile. Speaking of tactile, one of the things that's been quite challenging for people who develop touchscreen devices is having a tactile kind of feel on a touchscreen. And what Nokia has done is that they have put some sort of haptic feedback on the device itself. So when you actually hit the touchscreen, the phone will vibrate a little bit. In fact, if I actually touch, and then it will vibrate, and when I let go, it will stop vibrating. So that's actually a very nice feature. It gives you a bit of haptic feedback on the device itself, which is kind of cool. So let's talk about the software itself. This is Symbian 3, and this is the widget screen for the Symbian 3. And you can have up to 3 widget screens, and the whole idea is that they want you to have kind of like 3 different screens. You got a more serious one with your email, as well as calendar and stuff like that. By the way, this is it supports Exchange as well as Gmail, Yahoo, and whatever other kinds of email. So there is Exchange support, though you need to go through something called Mail for Exchange. All right, and then over here you got your other widgets. More fun stuff, social network. You gotta get a Nokia account to get all the social network stuff, all right, with a Nokia OV. And then just go back to that screen. We got a software update. So the great thing about this phone is that it does software updates over the air, including the firmware updates for the device, as well as updates for some of the little software applications inside your phone. Okay, and then finally you got the music player and all the other apps. So since we're here, just talk about the interface as well. You've got the notification here, and when you touch this, you can see that there are some notifications. The problem is that you cannot cancel the notification. For example, I don't use my SIM card's memory anymore because I store everything locally or in Microsoft Exchange, but this thing just keeps bugging me that my memory is full, and I know that, and I just don't want to do anything about it. So another thing that you can do is from here you can jump to the connectivity screen to turn on and off things such as your Bluetooth, wireless LAN, and so on and so forth. And then another cool trick is that if you hit the battery, it tell you there is a mode called power saving mode, and what it does is that it turns off certain functions and lowers the brightness so that to kind of maximize the battery of the device. So that's actually kind of cool. But it's well, let's take a look at the browser actually. This browser is the same browser you found on the N8. It's usable, alright, but it's still nothing compared to what you'll find on Android or the iOS. There is Flash on this device, but like I said, this browser isn't as fast or as in terms of loading, and it doesn't support as much HTML as you would find on some of these other devices. There is no HTML5 support for one. So if you do a HTML5 benchmark on this device, you'll get a horrible score. But I think one of the strengths of this device is that if you don't really care about applications, you don't really care about surfing the web all the time, it's a great smartphone. Gets you emails, lets you listen to music and take pictures, though without autofocus, which I'm still quite confused by that. But yeah, so this is the phone itself. So the app launcher is right here, and it is customizable, so you can actually rearrange the icons. You can create folders and things like that, just like you would on many other smartphones today. Okay, and yeah, so this is the Nokia E7. It's a Symbian 3 device. It's on sale already today. There isn't, you just noticed that there's a accelerometer that rotates the screen depending on where you do it. Of course, it doesn't do this way. I don't know why, but you can actually rotate the device this way, and it will react. So, yep. This has been the Nokia E7. If you want to check out more videos and all like the one that you just saw today, just go check out www.tech65.org. We did a video of the Nokia N8 as well, if you want to do a comparison of this one and the N8, and as well as other smartphones. Sony Ericsson has a whole bunch of smartphones and stuff like that. www.tech65.org. That's where all of our videos as well as the other podcasts are found, and I will see you guys very soon. I'm Daniel, signing off.